Hello, everyone.
I'm Scary.
And I'm Dustin. This is Stud or Scrub.
Stud or
Who's
Scrub?
who? What the hell?
You decide.
Wow, I hate you so much. Thank you for joining us for this, our 183rd installment where Scary and I share our practice tournaments, meta thoughts, and lists as we discuss the world of competitive 40K live. We are actually doing live YouTube episode now, so for those of you that are listening to us after the fact, we are going to start trying to do this live because a lot of people have been requesting to kind of interact with us while we podcast. So, and I never edit things anyway, so I figured, what the hell? And here we are.
That sounds about right. It just gives you more work to do.
Yeah, well, it's actually not too bad because it's pretty much the exact same thing as I normally do, except I press two buttons before we start.
No, fair. You know what? Then again, pressing those buttons
you know what?
for
I've done
hundreds
those
of
buttons
episodes.
I've done those episodes, and I've done those buttons, and I'm good to go now. So
You're good to go.
We're
You're
good
an experienced button presser.
I am experienced pressing buttons, so my wife tells me.
There you go. We have a really good episode breakdown for you today. So stick around. We'll chat. We'll talk. And I'm really excited to chat with you. It's been, I think, what is it? We've actually did another episode kind of on schedule this time. What?
It's on schedule. Let's tell everybody whose fault it is. It's your fault because you're trying to win ITC or some stupid shit. So
that's the goal. The goal is to get number one.
We're kind of working around your schedule as best we can, right? So we're doing
a little bit of work.
It's a little bit, yeah, to say the least.
To say the least.
You can see the light at the end of the tunnel now, though, right? It's getting.
One game at a time. I can't think about it too much, or I'll psych myself out.
Okay, let's not think about it anymore. You know what? Let's not talk about 40K now. Let's talk about defining what competitive.
Yeah. What is our episode topic for today, Dustin?
We are going to actually talk about competitive mindset and defining what competitive is, and because with WCW so close to us, a lot of people are getting into that competitive mindset, or at the very least, they might be following some players that are getting there and seeing what all the new lists are going to be and what people are building, if they're building to the meta, building against the meta. So we're going to kind of define what that means, what competitive nature is, because Scary's kind of in the thick of it right now, right? So there ain't many better people to talk to about it than him at this point in time, at least in the 40K community. Let's be real. Number 2 in ITC, let's go.
Thank you. Yeah, number 2 in the ITC. Can you imagine? That's crazy.
I can't imagine, but it's true, so I don't have to.
Oh, there you go. You don't have to imagine.
I don't have to imagine. Thanks to you, I can just look at the BCP and see it.
There you go.
I can do it right now. Look at this. I can look at it right now.
Oh,
wow. Because we're live, I can look at it right now and say, hey, look, there's it's taking too long to open. I can't see it that quickly. But yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And...
nope, he's still there. He's still there. Okay, good. I was actually worried that you weren't.
You're
still there
for a second. Sure, yes,
you're still
yes,
there.
I'm still
you got
there.
it. You're fine. You're fine.
Good. Preparing for the World Championship of Warhammer, which is in November 7th, so 6th, 7th, and 8th, 9th.
Yeah, so 2 weeks.
It's a 4-day tournament. It's 2 rounds per day.
It's a lot of tournaments.
I'm not exactly sure how many people are signed up to go, but list submission is tomorrow Eastern, noon.
Wow, that's early.
Yeah, I know. Usually it's not that far, but I think it's because they have to sort of set you up with, they have to do the pods, right? Mm-hmm. So they kind of set up pods, and I think because it's the World Championships, they might be doing some lists checking and stuff, or at least getting us to maybe to look at lists. Or
I think there's a lot of good reasons to do it. They being the end of the ITC and worldwide event, guaranteed worldwide event, people from everywhere. Having more time because a lot of people are going to have to book pretty far ahead.
Yeah, it's flights and getting those stuff. They don't want to mess around with it too much. So they did sort of release a pseudo FAQ, right? Earlier today, which I think it's quite good. They clarified a couple of things. They updated some of the faction packs. So if you're playing Warhammer 40K competitively, it's always a good opportunity to sort of like check the that sort of like what is up and running, and then that means you can like build a list, spend a couple of weeks practicing with it or whatever, and then take it down to the World Championships. But when it comes to that, that's also part of having a competitive mentality and mindset. It's like keeping up to date with all the sort of like pseudo DLCs, right? Like that's kind of what it is
So
at the end of the day.
IRL DLC. Let's do all the
Yeah,
abbreviations at once.
it's like a DLC that you set for the actual tabletop game, where every once in a while there'll be a patch update, and you just have to be up to date with the patch notes to really kind of stay consistent with what it is. And all in all, it's like one of the many myriad of things. But like when we say competitive mentality, what do you think that means, Dustin? Like when somebody says competitive mentality, right? And the reason I ask is because I've spoken to people where sort of like competitive and game groups, like the word competitive or being competitive, is sort of like a bad word, right?
It is taken that way, and I think actually let's talk about that first. Let's talk about the devil's advocate side of it, of what people think or seem to think competitive play is, or being competitive mindset is, because I feel like that's a good place to start, right?
Yeah.
So
it's like what does it mean? What does it mean to you? What does it mean to me? What's it mean to like folks in general?
well, yeah, but I think we should talk about what people think it means that are like not in the competitive scene, because it's really misconstrued. And let's go into that, because there's a lot of people, and I've actually been hearing some podcasts and watching some YouTube videos as of late where people that either aren't in the competitive scene or had like a bad experience in it, so they've been completely soured, which I could appreciate because that did happen to me quite some time ago. Like it was a long time ago now. Like now the competitive scene has gotten a lot better, let's be real. But I think a lot of people have that fear that the competitive scene is construed as just like these cutthroat players that will we're on the Stutter Scrub. The petulant whack players. The people that will
That's
do
WAAC.
WAAC.
So win,
all caps.
win at all costs players. So for anybody who needs a little bit of our lingo that we use here on the podcast.
Yes, exactly.
Petulant whack players.
Petulant whack players. So the people that are considered to be winning at all costs, like
angle
shooting.
Just people who read their rules, right? Like
in some cases, that is exactly what they do. People who know the rules.
Throwback for anybody who's been listening for a while. I'm sending you much love, Jesse.
Of course, people who read the rules.
Yeah, so if you read the rules, petulant whack player.
Stop reading all this shit. What's wrong with you? How do you know my rules better than me? Fucking petulant whack player. How dare you? But I think it's a pretty common misconception now, and I think it might have kind of grown over the years, because a long time ago, I'm talking well over a decade now, I think, well over a decade, a lot of local shops would have those players in there, and they would actually outnumber the people that are just trying to get into the game and try to have some fun and enjoy the lore, the gameplay, learn how to play. They wouldn't have a chance to learn because they just get shit on against people that are just not fun to play. It's like, screw it, I don't want to play anymore, kind of thing. That might have spread some toxicity across the community, right?
I feel like that toxicity kind of like became synonymous with competitive.
It did. It absolutely did. Which it absolutely isn't, but
it isn't. Well, especially right now.
Especially right now.
At the point in time. I think there's been a few sort of like turning points within the competitive tournament scene, moments in time that have sort of been enshrined in sort of like to help define the limits. You know what I mean? Where you have like those limits where you have, like there's the limit of like how far you can go and be considered like a player that's just playing the game, and how far you can go and be considered an asshole, right? Yeah. Which I think, and there's we'll talk about some of those key moments, right? During the show here, but like what is being competitive? Like for you. So define it for me.
For me, being competitive, it's actually really hard to quantify when you think about it, right? Because it means something different to everybody. But for me, being competitive is trying, it is playing the game with the intention to win. Like it's not, it's this. It's going to sound stupid when you say this because who's playing the game and trying not to win, right? But being competitive with the intention of winning, like you're trying to pay attention to what you're going to be playing against based on the meta, based on the terrain, based on the rules set. Like
Yeah.
you're actually, and I'm using air quotes because this is good radio, reading the rules. So when you go to the game and play it, you are making the most optimized list. You're making the most optimized decisions, and you're actually thinking in a mindset of what is the best move I can make, rather than in a lot of cases
Correct.
when we're talking about 40K or like, because there's a lot of people that enjoy the lore, we're not making fluffy decisions. We're not making this would look cool. This is cinematic. I'm going to do this. That's
Right.
not competitive thinking, right?
Right. And
there's nothing wrong with that side. I'm just saying that's not
that's what I mean.
competitive
But
thinking.
in terms of compare, I agree with you. I think there is sort of like there is I don't not necessarily a fine line between competitive and non-competitive, but I want to say that the line is crossed between competitive mentality and like more of a, like, what would you call the opposite of competitive? Because I don't want to say like narrative, right? Because narrative or fluffy or like friendly, right?
Filthy
Like
casuals.
that's not
This is Stutter
like
Scrub, man.
yeah, that's another sort of scrub. Like being yes, right, being a filthy casual player,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And by the way, for those of you
Doesn't
that are just tuning into this now, filthy
okay. So there's three
casual is
tiers. Let's just get into that real
filthy
quick. Three
casual
tiers.
is a very endearing term by us. We love all of you because
So a filthy
the
casual
hobby
is
needs you.
somebody who reads the italics,
Yes, who
right,
reads the
of the
italics.
stratagems.
Yep,
That's right.
that is a filthy casual. If you read the
That is the thing.
italics, you are a filthy casual. It's done. That's the definition.
That's me. I literally do that, Dustin.
You are not a filthy
I am.
casual, but you are a filthy competitive casual. That it's
I I'm a hybrid.
you're a hybrid. Yeah.
I'm a mutation. Um, but what's the line between that filthy casual? So by the way, there's three tiers. Filthy casual, right?
Yep.
Second tier is average.
Mediocre at best.
That's right. And last is petulant whack player. So we categorize folks into three tiers, right?
Yep.
So mediocre at best the tryhards kind of fit in there.
The tryhards really do fit in there. They really do.
They do, because they're trying really hard.
They're trying really hard, but they're just mediocre. Doesn't matter. Sorry.
And that's actually really funny because I think the tryhards are one of the biggest stains on the quote competitive mentality, which we can break down in a bit. But and sorry, if you're a tryhard player, then yes, I'm talking about you.
Yeah, we are, like, directly. Like, I'm looking you right in the eye right now. Look whatever you're listening to this on, whatever. Look directly at the screen.
Who is the whack player now?
Who is the whack player now?
Who is the whack player now?
You mediocre at best, petulant bastard.
Here we are, just insulting strangers.
That's right. You know who you are. You know who you are. If you're offended, you're the problem. All right, that's it.
You're the problem.
You're the problem.
So, like, I think that there is that line, right? So where it goes from that competitive mindset to not, like, that's actually the question I had, is what would you call the opposite of quote competitive mentality, or is there an opposite at all?
I don't think it's so directly as an opposite. I think the opposite of competitive is like, I'm going to do this because it's stupid, and that's not competitive. That's not fluffy. There's no opposite to it.
You're just calling people stupid. Like, there's competitive mentality and there's stupidity.
That is literally not what I said. But if you want to go that far, you know what?
The way you described it, that's how I understood it.
Okay, well then I'll double down on it, because it's actually there's no opposite to it. Let's be real. Either playing with a competitive mindset, or you're just playing 40K, and that's fine. Like, generally speaking, if you're not playing with a competitive mindset, you're playing for fun, right?
Okay. So, but competitive does not mean not fun.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely
right.
Not. I mean, so playing for fun is, you're not reading all of your
You're
opponent's
not
rules.
worried.
You're not
Okay,
worried.
okay. You're not sort of like and the thing is, you can have a competitive mentality and still play Crusades. You can
Yes,
have a
absolutely.
competitive mentality and still play like like uh, narrative games and go to like the grand narrative, and you still can have a competitive mentality.
Yep.
Whether it's people like to win a game, and you were talking about this earlier,
Hmm.
right? But so like you can have that competitive mentality, but I think that there's a there's a line between wanting to win the game and then true like sports competitive mentality,
Hmm.
right? Where like now you're thinking of it as like a mathematical equation almost,
Yeah.
right? And I think and I think that it gets a bad rep because of the fact that some people want to play the game and they want their predator to face in the direction of the enemy with the little guns facing the enemy. And they want to have their little last cannon devastators like pointing at the thing they're shooting at. And they want to have their big punchy Terminator captain like run headlong and try and like fight your like warlord in a one-to-one fight. That makes sense. Like they have a storytelling mode in their head,
Hmm.
right? Whereas like I think in a lot of ways, sometimes that sort of like immersion can be broken when someone is being quote competitive and they're
Mm.
like, I'm gonna poke my little nose out so that all my guns can shoot you, but you can't shoot me back, right? Or I'm going to not go and charge you because that doesn't get me
Because
points
that is a
and it's
stupid decision.
pointless. Correct. And I think that some some people like just want a 4 hour time of just rolling dice and kind of telling a story.
Yep.
Whereas like somebody who's competitive will be evaluating the sort of like pros and cons of decisions based on points and scoring. So it doesn't always sort of like make sense in a like war game kind of way because it's you're not really doing the thing that you feel in your mind's eye would happen in like a Black Library novel.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's kind of what I was alluding to when I was saying like they're playing with the cinematic thing in mind when they're playing because it's like you're saying they're not evaluating. Oh, okay, what's the best decision here? What can I do that will get me points here? They're going to be this guy wants to kill that guy, wants to fight that guy. I have this gun. I need to shoot that thing with it because I want to shoot it because it's a cool gun. Or I'm even like when list design, like I'm bringing this thing because it's a cool model. I don't care if it's good or not. And I think you actually brought up a good point that the immersion is often broken for them when something that should happen in their head doesn't happen from your opponent. Like if
Right.
like you're saying, if they have a guy out in the open like 2 inches away from something and he's good in close combat and doesn't charge because he would move off the objective and lose points. So it kind of ruins that immersion because in their head they're like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. Why aren't we fighting? Barnyard Jack, yes, we are live. See? There you go. We are
Yeah.
live
Shout
recording
out.
this.
Shout out to Mr. Jack all the way on the other side of the world. So
Whoa.
huge shout out to
Thanks for
him. That's
tuning in.
right. Make sure you check out the YouTube channel, right? And go. He does like live streams and stuff all the time too, which is really really cool.
Okay. Live streams are
Um,
the way of the future, apparently. That's what we've been told. So that's why we're here. That's
is
why
that
we're here.
is that is that how that
I don't know.
works?
It kind of I pressed the button, remember? Two buttons. Sorry, two buttons. We've been over this.
Yeah. Is that two
That's
buttons?
that's
Why do
how
you use two
that's all you got
buttons?
to do to stream stuff. You press two buttons and you're good to go.
What?
Uh,
No.
yeah, it's that easy.
No
You should know
way.
this. You've been doing this for a long time. But
No way.
I think the immersion breaks for them for that. That actually might be the cause of a lot of the I'm not gonna say hostility, but the toxicity or the assumed toxicity that people have when they're not in the competitive scene because if they have that cinematic picture in their mind and then they get broken out of that feeling, then it's like, oh well, they're just playing competitive. That's not fun. Or that's not cinematic. I keep using the word fun, but that's incorrect. But that's what it's what it is because everybody is playing for fun, but people have fun playing the game in different ways, right?
Yeah.
Some people have fun playing competitive, like high level competitive play. Like some of the best games, the most fun games of 40K that I've ever played are like against Poland, against you. Like so the hardest games I play, those are the ones that I often have the most fun at. That's not to say that I don't have fun when I'm just playing my buddies, and even if one of us is getting completely shit on, I'm still having fun, even if it's me getting shit on. That's just how I enjoy the game. But I have different levels of enjoying it, so I can enjoy both. Not everybody can. Some people can enjoy like a really intense competitive game because maybe they play the game to relax, maybe they play it to unwind, so they don't want to get wound up while they're playing it, right? So
Yeah, I understand. And I think that there's, that's definitely, I think when people go, competitive like mindset, there's so much to unpack there because you're looking at um folks that look at like even that get triggered, right? When they
yes,
get triggered by looking at a Games Workshop layout, right? Like I'll film a battle report with like WTC terrain and I'm using like official WTC terrain like on the WTC layout with boards, like we're just used to this. And you and I understand that like cut and dry, easy, straight lines really makes for a more balanced game of Warhammer,
hmm
right? But
yep,
like the amount of folks that will chime in the comments to be like, this is the most shit table I've ever seen in my life. What does the game come to? A lot of the times it's, those filthy casuals, right? That just like remember when, there's like maybe a couple of barrels in a tree and a crater hero there
yep,
and a really shitty looking ruin that was just in the bottom of the terrain box
yep.
when they went to like an RTT and they forget that they probably had to play like Tau on that board with like no terrain on it. Like, do you like did you have a good time back then? When you had like zero terrain, your opponent was
hmm
like, I've got 3 riptides. What have you got? A tree to hide behind.
and
Good fucking luck.
it's another point because that's why people have this salt in their mind from Tau. People hate Tau, and it's not because they're good now. It's because when there was no real terrain at RTTs, they just got shot off the table before they could play, and that
That's
just
right.
sticks in their mind.
It was honestly like luck of the draw,
Yeah.
right? Because you'd get to a point where you'd be like, oh, look, I got to play on one of the tables that the event organizers set up early in the day, which had all the terrain, and it happened to be,
It's
the
funny because I
most.
was a TO doing that too, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like the one table had really nice
There's one
ruins,
table that doesn't look
terrain.
amazing,
This
and the
one
rest are like,
table looked amazing,
ah,
and the rest were fucking crap.
this is what's left. Here's a rock.
This is all that's left. So when it comes to sort of like that competitive, like people get triggered, they look at like the new terrain layouts and stuff like that. And to be honest, so first of all, Barnyard Jack, so Barnyard Wargaming, make sure you check him out on YouTube. He came over to Mini Wargaming. It was really fun because I'm going to use his game actually, now that I remember, as an example. Him and I played, I think, 1 or 2 games. And we played for my channel. I recorded a couple of battle reports. And he played an Eldar list that was basically one of every Phoenix Lord. And then each Phoenix Lord was in one of their aspect units. And he had like a Falcon, a Wave Serpent. I think this was Index Eldari. Or it might have been Codex. I think it was Index. Anyway, so like you think of that and go, oh, that sounds like a really fun, sort of like fluffy, like list to play, right? But the way that Jack played it was competitive. He had a plan for every unit. He played to score points. He took advantage of the terrain. He played the mission very well, right? And that just really, that one just epitomized the what competitive mentality can be. And I think personally, I try and you do this too. Like you, myself, and I know Jack because he sticks to his guns, but we play whatever the hell we want to play,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Oh yeah.
so we leverage skill set to make whatever we want competitive. And we leverage our skill set in terms of practice and understanding game mechanics to play some more, quote, esoteric lists that might not be the meta, right? And we show that you can kind of play with kind of whatever you want as long as you understand how to play the game properly.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And I think that is sort of like when I vision competitive mentality, that's my description where I look at it and go, you just know how to play the game well. You understand points and how to score points and how to deny points. And you build a list that's sort of like whatever you want. You can play any faction, you can play any list you want. And as long as you're playing like the missions and you're playing to like win, right? Competitively, like you're making good choices in the game, you can be competitive. And that's it. Like that could be, you could play a meta list and just be like, I'm going to run the thing that Richard Siegler is running or what John Lennon is running and just play that. And that's completely fine as well. Right. But I feel it encompasses so much more than just that what people might think it is, whether it's good or bad.
Okay. I actually have a question for you that kind of popped up as you're talking about that. And it's something that I think you and myself might be in a unique position to be able to answer because we are coaches. We do coach people through like the learning process of learning the game, getting better at the game. In your experience, you've been doing it for a while. You've been coaching people for a while. Do you truly believe that people can change into a competitive mindset? Can they actually be trained to play competitively instead of not competitively? Or is that something that is not really trainable? It's more of a personality that the way they enjoy the game or the way they want to play it. Can it actually be ingrained in somebody to do that or not?
I believe you can. You can 100% learn how to be competitive. And and yes, I've been coaching players on all factions from all different levels of playing the game, from like novices all the way to experienced players. And there is a very set sort of like series of things that you can put into place that help someone focus their mentality into a more competitive mindset. And that is doing it with a great attitude, good sportsmanship, right? And good what I develop are systems. So a good systematic approach to playing Warhammer, right? And if you have a good systematic approach for playing Warhammer, you can play anything at any time and do well with whatever you put your mind to.
So, does everyone have that capability, or there are some people that just can't make that flip to the competitive mindset because, for whatever reason, whether they just enjoy the game a certain way or they just can't force themselves to make those decisions in game because they have the cinematic thing in their mind? Are there people that cannot make that leap, do you think?
I think everyone could be capable of making the leap. I don't think everyone can be coached into doing that.
Ah, there it is. That's perfect. That's the way to say it. I think that's
right. Because, as someone who's been training and coaching and teaching people how to do anything from selling knives all the way to teaching folks how to play Warhammer and improving their game at Warhammer, right? You cannot teach a couple of things. The first thing that you cannot teach is attitude, right? That is just something that people either have or they don't have. And you cannot teach coachability.
Yeah. I think that's actually the good point. It's not a matter of they're not able to make the flip to competitive. It's just they cannot. If they're some people are just not coachable in that sense.
Correct. And it is a shame, when somebody who has potential, right, or has great ideas, gets to a point where they are sort of like their own worst enemy.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I've had, over the years, every single type of coaching client you can imagine, from folks that quite literally do all the work and everything. You basically say, look, this is the system, and if you trust the system, you're going to get results. And all of a sudden they go, look at me doing the system, and oh my goodness, I have results, right?
Yeah.
All the way to, someone who goes, I want to win LVO or whatnot. You're like, okay, great, you
Hmm.
know.
Let's do it.
So, but then they go to every event and go, oh, I lost my second game, so I just went home, right? And
Yeah.
you're like,
Yeah.
I can't help you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like don't get me like I'm glad that you have these visions, but that work ethic is just not there, right? And that is, I don't end up working with folks like that very long, like at all, because I can't, like I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to waste their time,
Yeah, that makes perfect
right?
sense. I think there's a lot of people that have that. They get excited about it, that want to like, okay, I'm going to do really well. I've had a couple coaching clients that got really excited about it, and then we had like a couple sessions. They're like, I'm doing really well. This is incredible. I won this RTT. Like, awesome. Let's build on that then. And then like the next GT, they go like the first game they lose, they get discouraged and go home. And like
Correct.
like man, you had it. Like you're on the way. Like you're not going to win every game. That's you know.
Hey, I lost my first game at the London GT after getting flown out there
Yeah.
and doing this whole like I want to be number one in the world. I play my first game and get beaten by a guy that plays like 2 games a year, right?
Hmm.
And literally just got humiliated, right? Not in a bad way, but I was like, and well, wasn't that fun, right? So, but I didn't quit. I just played every game as best I could after that. That's all you can do. You know what I mean? Anyway, but so competitive mentality, like I feel like we've defined it right now. Anybody who's listening, if or watching or listening, just let us know what you think. You can go to the Discord and let us know in there. I'm actually going to start putting up a thread for every episode that we have on the Discord. So we can kind of discuss some of the topics from that episode in the Discord. So
Wow.
if folks want to find the Discord, how can they find the Discord, Dustin?
Wow. I have links in Facebook. I have links. You know what? This is on Facebook or on YouTube. I could add it
You can just
to.
link it up on
I can
YouTube.
link it up
Yeah,
on YouTube. How about that? We're on YouTube now.
that
Look at
also
that.
works too.
Look
Yeah,
at that. But
that's a
yeah.
great way of doing it as well. Yeah,
But yeah, we put it on Facebook. I put it on the YouTube link here, so we can make sure it's here, and we'll make sure people have access to it. It's an open link, so it
I like it.
should always be active. If I know my tech even half as good as I hope I do.
Nice. That's awesome.
I'm, I'm hoping. I'm hoping. And I joke about it a lot that I'm shitty with tech sometimes, guys. So just remember that I actually work in tech for a living. So I'm not actually bad at it, but at the same time, it hates me, so I can't help that. Technology
Yeah,
isn't coachable.
the technology is not coachable.
Technology is
Stop,
not
stop
coachable.
trying.
It's not
Stop
coachable.
trying.
No. Change my mind. Change my mind.
Change my mind. This is the coachability meme.
This is the coachability
Change,
meme.
change my mind.
Change my mind.
Do you mind linking it up in the chat as
I
well?
will do it right
So,
now. Yeah. You keep talking while I do that.
yeah, awesome. So we've defined sort of like what competitive mentality is. Now, if anybody has any, like, if you think you've defined it in your own way, let us know. I'd love to have a discussion on this. Maybe we'll revisit it in the future. So based on that, let's kind of break down, because we alluded to it first. We were alluding to the fact that there's sort of like this vision of what people think competitive mentality is, right? So we're like, okay, what is that negative connotation that people give to that quote unquote competitive mentality? What do you and I think competitive mentality is? And so I think the next thing is that I'd like to talk about is sort of like those moments in time that have helped us as a community define what the line is between competitive mentality and being an asshole.
Okay. I mean, there's the obvious one. I'd
There's a
say
couple of obvious
there's
ones,
90% of the
right?
people listening to this are immediately thinking of the Nanavati incident.
Correct. The Tony got Tony'd,
The Tony got
right?
Tony. Yeah.
Tony got Tony'd, right? Where a player, big event, Tony. You've probably heard this, like, "Don't Tony me, bro."
Yeah. Don't
Right?
Tony
That
be
sort of
like
stuff.
the
Yeah.
day that Nanavati stood up for the community. So
The day that, and
slow
it's
clap.
funny because talking to Nadavati, like he doesn't feel he did anything crazy, if that makes
Of
sense.
course
Like if
not.
anything, he was just being an asshole to the asshole,
Hmm.
right? But it's sort of like, and he understands that he's not naive to it. It's nice. It was nice to have that line. Now, there's a couple like, the water bottle incident, right? Um, yeah, where like that. So what happened is, I think there was like the technological innovation of cameras and putting cameras.
This technology that was not coachable, by the way, but
That's right. This putting a camera on a table and saying, "Let's show the world what people playing Warhammer," and then folks having the behaviors that they would have normally used, and then a lot more people being able to look at that and go, "Hey, that's bullshit."
wait a minute.
And then there was this sort of like, so that's two incidents, right? That I feel there was a move, and I think that was probably one of the most pivotal points. But there's a couple of, say, big names, and we've always had, like, every community. I don't care where you're listening from, where you're listening from Australia, where you're listening from Europe somewhere, or the US or Canada or whatnot, right? You If you've played the game long enough, there's always the don't play that guy, he's a cheater, right?
Oh
Or
yeah,
I don't want to play that person, he's just an asshole, or I
yeah,
just don't enjoy the games, or he's a win at all costs player,
whack
or a
player.
quote unquote gotcha player,
Hmm.
right? Um, and I think most communities will be able to sort of pinpoint the one or two people that they just like comes to mind, like instantly.
Yes.
They're like,
Oh yeah.
right?
I've gone to like other countries and like just leave the local stores there, and they will pinpoint them immediately there. Like everyone has them, and I think the people that are these people, they
Yeah,
need to realize it too, because we don't we don't want anybody to leave our community. We want it to grow. This is
right.
important to us. We want people to be a part of it. But you got to
Yeah,
realize the community is at a point now that I'm not even going to say like we're standing up for ourselves, but it's kind of what it is. Like we're standing up
yeah.
for our desire to enjoy the game.
Well, we talk about the social contract a lot,
Yes.
right? And so like it's about it's about making sure that the folks that are playing the game are sort of like adhering to that unwritten contract. Like and to be fair, like and you can have it from that, when we're looking at the social contract for competitive 40K or competitive play, right? Like look, there's it's a spectrum,
Hmm.
right? So you can have a social contract where you can have two top level players, right? Or bottom level players, whatever, like just players that get to the table and say, fuck it. And they're just like really sloppy with their play. And
Yeah.
they're just kind of like, they're just sort of playing suggestion hammer. They're like, I'm going to move over here. And they're not really measuring this. Like, I'm just going to
Suggestion
move all my
hammer.
guys here. I'm just going to.
I like that.
It's like, and they'll be like, okay, so these guys are gonna shoot there. Do you just want to pick them up? And they're like, yeah, sure. And they just pick
Oh
them up,
yeah.
and they could be done in like 20 minutes or whatever. They're just
Hmm.
like, whatever. You could literally have a game that's like that, kind of going off of quote averages if you wanted to, right? And it's like nothing is like precisely moved. You're like, I can kind of see all of them, right? Yeah, no problem. Like to the same point where like somebody could be like, even though they have line of sight, they could be like, I don't believe I should have line of sight, because I think it's silly to shoot a tank that I can only see the gun barrel from,
Right.
right? So that's on one side. And on the other side, you have like a hard-nosed, like rules is written, like you start moving a unit, you finish moving a unit. As soon as you stop moving that unit and you start moving another, you cannot go back and
You
move that
take your
unit.
fingers off and you're done.
Correct. It's like, which is in the letter of the rules. It's like a very chess-like game,
Yep.
right? Where you're supposed to make a decision, you move a unit, and then that's it. You just
Yep.
can't go back and do it and go back to it, right? And that's on the other end, right? And and so very rarely will you have two people of the exact same social contract expectedness play against each other.
Hmm.
So some folks are going to have to give, some folks are going to have to take, right? It's going to have to be a bit of a give and take to sort of create a good experience of Warhammer,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. Now, I think it's actually important to mention too that doesn't matter how good at you are at the game. It doesn't matter how competitive you want to play this game. The game is it's played using measuring tape,
Yep.
and none of you are going right to the bottom. I know you can't tell me you do. You're not touching the table as you measure everything you move. Nobody does that, which
Hey, but
means
I play on TTS, so I get .1 of
don't
an inch.
you
Okay.
dare say that name here again. Get that filth out of your mouth. We don't
Get that filth.
get that
Don't you
filth out of
filth
your mouth.
out of your mouth.
Keep that filthy name out of your mouth. Ugh. Ugh. That's a whole other. You know what?
I just got digitally slapped by Dustin.
Yes, we'll talk about that in a second because that's another level of things. But I'm talking about on the tabletop right now. Nobody is going right at the table. I'm talking about the actual, like, really playing the game, like actually playing the game. Where you don't go, nobody goes down to the table and actually puts their measuring tape on the flat surface for every
I
single
do.
model.
What are you talking about?
No, you don't. Not for every single measurement.
Not
Nobody
every,
does.
not every
Like, yeah,
measurement.
see?
For that,
Like,
I've got
exactly.
for precise measurements. I've got my little measure
Yes.
laser cut.
Yes. See, so we do have those precise measurements. We have those the 3 inches, the 9 inches, or whatever to make those precise, those actual precise ones. Assuming when they're printed, they're actually 9 inches. Yeah. Anyway, we have those, but for the most part, there's always going to be a game of stealing inches, whether usually unintentionally, because we're not all doing that for every single movement. Because, well, one, we have a time limit of what we're playing this game. We only have 3.5 hours to play this game, so we subconsciously do want to go a little bit faster, and that's a little bit faster. And yeah, like that's about 3 inches there, that's about 6 inches there, and move there, which isn't a bad thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I'm saying there is that social contract that you both need to understand. Like, there are going to be a few times where it might be like a half an inch, whatever, and it's not a big deal. It's when people take like 2 inches, 3 inches, like, okay, now we need
consistently. No,
Yeah,
if it's like if it's like a systemic
Yeah,
issue
exactly.
or an endemic issue, whatever the right word is for that.
Yeah, but the thing is, most games, like damn near all games, there's going to be a couple of those measurements that are just going to be that little bit off. And that's just kind of an understood part of the game because it's not, and that's actually one of the reasons this game is going to be really hard to break into that full, like, esports competitive level style because of that inconsistency with some of those things, right? That it's hard to break through
exactly.
that, which, again, that's the game. It's fine. That's why it's so important to have that social contract. And when the measurements start getting close, that's why you bring your opponent into it. Say, hey, I think this is in, or I think this is 6 inches, or before you move to line up a charge, if I move here, I think this is going to be a 9-inch charge. Do you agree? And then when you move it, because the table's going to get bumped. Shit's going to get moved incidentally. You're going to, like, I have fat arms. My arm's going to bump a model. It's going to be in a different spot. So it's important to have.
Or you lean over and like your clothes.
Yeah, your clothes will like knock over or hook it onto it. Yeah, exactly.
Which happens.
That happens.
But I think I 100% agree with what you're saying. And I think that in terms of sort of identifying sort of like this, you have to understand that when it comes to competitive mentality, like the issues, like the big issues that we had, we had water bottle gate, we had Tony got Tony'd, right? Where like the community rallied around the generalized vision of, yes, this behavior that we're witnessing right now is not something we want in our game, right? Even though it might be considered acceptable, like, or quote unquote rules is written or whatever. It's like, it's not as a, and some people might want to do that in their local game clubs, but as a whole, it's just not fun. It's not conducive to sort of like community building or a good time, especially when somebody, say, pays thousands of dollars to get a ticket and a plane and like a hotel, and you go and you want to spend like a weekend away from your family and you just want to roll some dice and maybe whether you're good or bad at the game or whatever, like nobody wants to show up and like just have a shit time.
Yeah.
Right. Like you if you paid your money for that. And I think, as a tournament organizer, right. It's good to have that sort of like delineation of what is acceptable behavior, because if you have an asshole player, right, go in and have 5 or 6 shitty games, right? That's like 5 or 6 people that won't come back to your event next time.
Yeah, that 5 or 6 people that
right?
spend like $1,000 to go have fun at this event and then
Correct.
get it ruined by one shithead, right?
Right. And then they don't, and if you're a TO that's like, say, trying to run an event for like a profit or whatever, that's like 5 people that aren't going to like pay for their ticket, 5 more, and then
And let's be
they'll tell
real,
their friends,
as
and they'll like, you mean?
TOs, we're the ones that get blamed for that too. It's not the player. It's not the shithead
Yeah.
that treated that way. It's the TOs. Like, oh, they didn't deal with it
Yeah.
properly. Didn't have active judges. Like, there's so many things that they get blamed for, and it's because of these shitty players, because I don't either they just don't enjoy the game that way. They were losing. They needed to make some stupid decisions, but it's that's the toxicity of the game that ruins it for everybody, not just the players,
Right.
but the TOs as well. And if the TOs start suffering, then the tournaments start suffering. The tournaments start suffering. We stop having tournaments. So that's why it was
Yeah.
important to make all of these big steps in our community. I don't think people that are new to the game, like the last couple of years, realize how big those steps were.
Right.
Because
And so,
yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
no, 100%. They were like pivotal moments. Please continue. I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Nope, I lost my train of thought. You're good. Go ahead.
Okay. Good thing we're here to catch you, take you. Yeah, I got you, bro.
Yeah,
I got you.
okay, pick me up now.
I'll pick you up. So when it comes to defining like the limits of what it is, right? It was like, okay, like I think that gave us a good definition of sort of like what we mean by being competitive badly, right? Like, but I don't want to say
Negative
it's
competitive.
competitive. It's like a negative competitive. It's like
Nepative.
I just want to
There we go.
just want to say,
Nepative.
not even being competitive. Like doing that, it just makes you an asshole. Like it's just not. It's just not like it doesn't matter if you're competitive or not. It's like the overarching.
You're not
Like
breaching competitive play at that point.
No, it's not. That's not competitive. That's
No.
just being a dick.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's not. Doesn't. It's just not being competitive. Like being competitive is so much more than winning. Right,
Yeah.
as we've said. Right, like just trying to win at all costs or at the expense of another player. Right, that's just low.
Playing
It's just low.
competitively involves the social contract, which means playing competitively involves sportsmanship, which means playing
Correct.
competitively means you're playing with sportsmanship with your opponent because you both want to play the game and have fun and win the game, sure, but you're both playing with each other. You're not. We always say this: you don't play against your opponent; you play with them in 40K, and that's very important to remember.
Right. Now, there's a whole other topic we can go, which is like, what's the fine line of like, should I play the game for my opponent and how much should I remind them? And I think we actually had a couple episodes where we talked about that sort of thing in the past. So I'm not going to, go into much detail about that. So now that we've sort of like, okay, look, when it comes to competitive, we've talked about, what does it mean for you and me, right? We've talked about like the vision that people have of the competitive, what is competitive, how people get triggered. We've talked about, right, the sort of like what has sparked the limits of what is acceptable before it becomes you're just a dick, right? From a community perspective, right? So all in all, what is like, let's talk about being competitive. Like, what does it really mean? Right now that we've kind of like, what does it entail? What are the sort of things that you do? You talked about playing with your opponent, being a sportsman, being competitive. Like, what does it really mean to be competitive? And sort of like really celebrate everybody out there that goes to tournaments, that plays games, and does it in sort of like a way that is conducive to community.
See, I feel like we can go back and forth on some of the points of this. Like, I feel like one of the most important things, again, like I said, is you're playing with your opponent, which that means not just playing by intent in terms of telling your opponent what you're intending to do so they understand it, they agree with it, so there's no disagreements further on because it makes the game run a lot smoother, and there's no feel bads because you know and they know what the measurements are, what the intent is going to be happening, so there's not going to be any questions later on. It's like, oh no, I'm going to rematch that. That's not actually 9 inches, it's actually 11 inches or whatever. It's important to have that social contract honored on both sides, and as a competitive player, playing with your opponent means that you're going. How do I put this? You want to play as though you're both playing at your best.
Mm-hmm.
So little mistakes that don't actually affect the game. Like if they forgot to shoot one thing before they like that doesn't affect anything, you know, after that phase is passed. It doesn't affect anything, or they forgot to move something that doesn't affect anything. These are little things that, and even a lot of cases, I think the most important case of this is that when somebody says, "All right, I'm moving this here so I can charge that or do that," and then they forget to do it, but they set it up. They said they were going to do it, and then they just forgot. I think the competitive thing to do is to remind them and make sure, yes, you absolutely do that because
Correct.
you
That's the difference between stated intent
yeah,
and intent being used as a tool to make up for mistakes.
yes, that's
Right?
the big difference.
So I think there's a big difference between stated intent, which is exactly what you're describing.
Yeah.
I'm going to move these guys here to cleanse or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they don't necessarily declare the cleanse.
Yeah.
Right. And then they go, okay, so they would have cleansed, and then you're like, you didn't declare it. You know, it's
Yep.
like, okay, that's
just not competitive.
That's being a dick. That's in that being a dick category.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Instead of being like, oh yeah, you had kind of moved them. You'd said it. You said yes.
Yeah.
And
and
you're smart enough.
Even
if you play this game, you're smart enough to remember like that your opponent said something.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's a lot of times too where people will like move something there, not even directly declare it, but they move like a 5-man unit that has no guns. They got out of a transport they didn't need to get out of, and they're on an objective when they have cleanse, and then they only cleansed one objective at the end of the training. Like, oh shit, I only did one. I'm like, well, those guys got out to cleanse, didn't they? Like, that's what else were they doing there? Little things like that. Like, because to me, that's the competitive part of I don't want to win because you made a silly mistake that was obviously your intent anyway. Like you were doing it. You could have done it. You just didn't do it. But there's that fine line of, like you said, the what did you call it? What intent?
Declared
intent. Thank you. The declared intent and just like the intent used to rectify a mistake. Like, oh, like the next turn when they're shooting something, I actually meant this guy to be like this, so you couldn't shoot him. Like, okay, well, my entire movement phase now was just based on shooting that guy because that's where he was. There are cases where, sure, where you place them, like you just forgot to turn that gun around. All right, yeah, that's easy enough to do. That makes sense, kind of thing. But there are limits to that too, right? So it's hard sometimes to make that distinction, but I think a lot of it is common sense.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is common sense. But then again, okay, we're getting into common sense ground. Like, okay, at that point we could like really have common sense and not common sense.
Yep.
Right. So like, what is common? No, this is a whole like we're starting a whole other discussion.
Another topic now.
That's a whole other topic. What is common sense? Okay, let's
don't go that far.
Simmer down now. Okay.
You did it. I didn't do
it. I'll take the blame for that. That's fine.
That's right.
So at the end of the day, yes. Like I think that's super important to note, right? I think it's like a big part of the whole process. And when it comes to being competitive, like I'm going to use our games as an example.
Okay.
Right? When you and I play Warhammer, it is some of the most cutthroat Warhammer we play.
Yep.
Right? But it's not in and we're both telling each other how we're going to beat the shit out of each other the entire time.
Yep. Of course.
Right?
We have to.
And right. But I meant like it's like playing poker with an open hand.
Yep. It's true.
Right?
Like that's actually a lot of what Warhammer is because you know everything they can do if you really wanted to.
You're just playing, like if you play on hard mode, like you play like a pro, right? You're playing quite literally against yourself because you're just telling your opponent what you're doing. So you're not hiding any information. You're like, this is what I'm doing. And then they tell you what they're doing, and then you tell them what you're doing, right? And it's just a back and forth. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah, no, not at all. That's how I enjoy the game, because that to me, then the entire game is like solving a puzzle, and
that's right.
I love solving puzzles,
and we do that in a point where it's like, then at that point, you and I, like, I don't know about you, but every time we end up finishing a game, it ends up being, whether it's like a close game or not a close game or whatever it is, like it always ends up being such a like brain tingly experience.
Yeah. Like
Where like I
those
always
tingles you
feel like
get.
that it's a game that you played like, and it was so like there's something very specific about that sort of endorphin rush
It is an
that you
endorphin
get
rush for your brain.
from playing like a very tight competitive game of Warhammer,
It's the same
but
feeling as
doing it the right way.
after you have a really, really good workout. Like your muscles are sore, they're tired, but they feel
Right,
good. It's the same thing after a good game of Warhammer. Your brain's like, fuck, that was awesome. I'm tired. And you just sit down.
right.
But that was awesome.
That's right. Right. And so at the end of the day, I guess we get to define what makes us competitive. I think at the end of the day, like that social contract is something that when you go into every game, just make sure you have those conversations, especially like with your opponent, right?
Hmm.
Like just have a conversation. It solves so many issues. If you're going to be a very hard-nosed, like no takesies backsies kind of player, have that conversation with your opponent. Hey,
Yeah.
I prefer if we did no takes backs in this game.
Yeah.
And just like we play it as it lies. Like I'm going to remind you of
Be
stuff
upfront.
and I'm going to remind you of things like this, but I would really prefer because I like playing that way. So if you don't mind playing that way with me, that would be great.
Yeah. Just have that conversation.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Just don't be because
Right?
otherwise you become the gotcha player, which
That's right.
technically wouldn't be true. It's not a gotcha. But you'd be a dick at that point because you didn't set the expectation before. And it's like, this is how I intend to play. I would appreciate it if you could play that way too. I'm not going to let you do any takebacks, and I'm also not going to do any
Not
takebacks.
going to ask for any.
Yeah.
Like if I do a mistake, I'm going to own up to it, and that's just
Yeah.
how it's going to be,
I
right?
fucked up. That's
And that's key. And some people are like, oh well, I don't like playing that way. It's like, okay, well they don't like playing your way either,
yeah.
So maybe you can find like a
Probably like,
maybe
why don't
you
I
can
play that way?
find
He's like, well, I don't like playing that way. Why don't I play that way?
you
Like
can probably
10-10 and
find
go get a beer.
that's right. That's right. How about we just toss a coin? 50-50,
Mhm.
let's go. Or less than 50-50, depending on if it's heads or tails. Anyway, whatever it is. Right? So fine. Fair enough. So I think that sort of like is our topic for today.
Yeah.
Like competitive mentality. I think that in a way you can kind of play competitively and not be an asshole, but you can
I think
also
you should. I think that's actually part of being competitive.
is not being an asshole. I
Yeah.
think we defined it that being an asshole is not being competitive anymore.
it is
That's
not.
just like
No.
that's just being an asshole.
That's just being an asshole.
right?
It's not being competitive. Just being an asshole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
But
So I agree with that.
Speaking of competitive play, there have been a couple of new codexes that have come out since the last time we've done a stud squad. So
Just one, right?
2 since we last did it because there's Drakari, and I don't think Raven Guard was out when we did this either. Technically,
Raven Guard doesn't have a codex. They just got a detachment.
well, I'm calling it a codex, okay? Because
Okay. Big money over here.
big money
Just
Raven
like
Guard detachment. All right.
big money Raven Guard.
Listen, with the amount of Raven Guard out there,
that
you might
coming.
have expected it to be a fucking
rapid
codex.
ingress that in my face.
I rapid ingress the shit out of this codex into your face, so you can just deal with it. And it was, you know what? It was
Codex.
free because that's something I can do.
Single fucking page. Okay, that's what that was.
That's all
There's
it needs.
Nothing else.
A detachment is less than a page in a lot of cases.
Technically 2 pages.
2 pages, yeah, 2 pages. There you go.
Yeah. Enhancements and stratagems.
And stratagems. Yeah, that's all.
That's
All attachments are 2 pages, and that's
I guess there'd be one double-sided page.
yeah. See, 1 page. Ha, nailed it. So that's one fucking page, but it's basically a codex on its own. So it's enough to be a codex with the amount of people playing it. Okay, but that means we do need to. Either way,
what is a
they
stud
weren't
squad?
actually.
For everybody
they
who's
weren't
just brand
actually-
new, that has no idea what's going on, what is a stud squad?
So the stud squad is because we are players that really enjoy team events. That's what we prefer to play. Stud squad is what we currently believe would be the most optimal 8-man, and in this case, we'll do some 5-mans because there's a lot of 5-man teams coming up. 8-man and 5-man team, faction-wise, to bring on a team if you have it available, based on their power in the meta in teams specifically. So there'd be a bunch of armies a lot of times that wouldn't normally make the list because in singles they're not great, but in teams when you can pick the matchup a little bit, it actually makes a big difference, and they're awesome. So we are going to be doing.
And I like it.
But yeah, I know you do. That's why we do it. Because if we didn't like it, this would be a really shitty segment.
This last time when I talked about Dark Eldar, and now we're finally getting to it. How dare you?
Yeah, we're getting to it now because I didn't want to do it then.
That's fine.
It wasn't out yet.
It was out.
No, it
Yeah,
wasn't.
well,
Shut
man,
up.
I lost
It
track.
was on pre-order. You can check the dates. It was on pre-order. It
Oh,
wasn't out.
was it? No
That
way.
doesn't.
2
Yes, it
weeks
was.
ago. It was not on pre-order
Yeah, it
2 weeks
was.
ago.
Yes. No.
No, it
Listen.
wasn't.
Listen.
Lies.
Listen. Shut up.
Absolute lies.
Listen. Listen. Scary.
God.
Listen to
Wait,
my
wait,
argument.
wait. No,
Listen.
wait.
No. Listen.
27th.
What?
No, you're right. It was still
Yeah.
on pre-order.
That's right.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Yeah,
It wasn't.
yes, it was.
Lies.
You already said it was. I'm cutting out the last part, so we already know that it's true. All right,
Oh
so
my God.
so
Get out of here.
let's go over this new Stud Squad. Right,
La 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 la
as
la
always,
la la. Can't hear
we
you.
go
La
over
la
that.
la
Yeah,
la la.
this is a great podcast, by the way. We need to go over the last one. So the last
What
one,
is the last one?
last
Come
one we
on,
did this.
Justin, pay attention.
I'm got this. I'm the one who got the notes in front of my face. We had Death Guard, Imperial Knights, Chaos Knights, Space Marines, World Eaters, Votan, and then our 2 faction specialists, which we usually have in 8-mans. So,
Of course. Absolutely.
Now-
Number 1, get those knights out of here. They're out. They're fired.
wow, just out like that.
Absolute. Just fired.
Just dumpster
no
fire.
Knights,
Dumpster
Just-
fire of Knights.
absolutely dead. If
Wow.
you play knights, you should play another faction.
Wow, that's a hot take.
That's Ooh, I wonder if I'm gonna get an email about that.
You're not getting.
Sorry, Jeff.
I don't. No, he's not playing them. He's playing Votan.
I know, because they suck.
They've been one of the biggest ebbs and flows this game in general, not even this edition, but this game has ever had. They go from broken to useless so quickly back and forth. It's unbelievable.
So 14 War Dog does Jack. Oh my gosh.
No.
Yeah, still trash. Still trash. 14.
Stop it.
trashes.
Stop building them right now, Jack. Stop it. Just throw them out right now. You heard it here first.
I am an internet pundit, and
Yes,
I know.
I am
what
a
I'm talking
talking head. You must listen to me. Throw out your models that you bought.
Listen to me. I know what's good and what isn't good,
He
and
knows.
how you spend your money. I am an influencer.
He is an influencer and he cannot be coached otherwise, so you're stuck with him now.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's go over this.
I took out everything, by the way, not just the Knights, but yeah.
Yeah, of course. Like, I'm just saying that I'm not going to put knights back in.
That's fair.
But yeah. So if we're looking at 8s, so top 8,
You need
right?
Space Marines.
If we were to go
You
right
need
now,
Space Marines.
Space Marines,
Yeah.
Space Marines, Space
Now,
Marines have to go in.
Are we specifying Raven Guard? I think there's an argument for like Black Templar or even.
Yeah, so Space Marines go in regardless.
Yes.
If you do Space Marines, you can either do Raven Guard, you can do Black Templars, you can do Space Wolves. I think are like the big 3,
Black-
and you can still do Ultramarines. Like I think
You know, I'm just
the,
gonna put
like,
Space
good
Marines.
old
I'm
Ultramarines.
gonna say vanilla, but that encompasses like Raven Guard and all the.
Correct. It is Space Marines. Like
Yeah,
you
it is
use a
Space Marines.
Space Marine Codex. If you're doing an 8s, Space Marines just give you a very versatile choice.
Yeah, exactly. They could do anything you need them to do, especially to team. They're great for a team. Okay, what else definitely should be in an 8-man?
Chaos Knights.
Oh, see, I was wondering if you were going to keep them in there.
I really still like Chaos. Like that triple despoiler knight.
The triple
feels
display is dumb. right now.
still
It is dumb.
Stupid.
It is
still
dumb.
so dumb.
It is dumb. Like that.
Like,
That's
Because
100%.
you can put triple despoilers, 2 carnivores, 2 stalkers, and still have enough points for like Beast of Nurgle and Nurglings and like a whole bunch of other crap, and potentially even put in like Ben Jurek did freaking Brodigus in there too,
Yeah.
for just good measure.
Yep.
It's like, and then not only that, but they touch a building and go, "Oh, this building doesn't exist," and then they just go, "Gah, gah, 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 gah," and then you're dead.
That was a very accurate description. That's exactly.
I think that they work very well. They're a nice bully in an
Oh,
eight.
for sure.
I think they're good.
absolutely. No.
You do have to be careful with them because they can get pinned. There are things that will kill knights, right? But they're just really good at being like, "Oh, you can't deal with this. Here, recon guard, take 50,000 Gatling cannon shots." You know,
Yeah, that. Yep.
or AdMech. Hello, new AdMech. Here's
All right, back. Yeah.
all of the Gatling cannons. You're dead, right?
Stop being dead. Why would you do that?
Speaking of which, I would put AdMech in.
Whoa. Okay.
But it might be a faction.
That's a
specialist,
faction
but
specialist.
yeah.
That is absolutely not an auto include. Let's take a
Fine,
step.
we'll wait for it.
Take
We'll
a
wait for
step
it.
back
What's
there.
your second?
No, slow
What's your
your
second?
roll, Scary.
Hey.
I think the next one that is more of an auto include right now is World Eaters.
Yes, for teams,
Yes.
absolutely. And you could go the Team France, like 50 world eaters, or you could just go like for a more generic build. Actually, there was a really cool build I saw at Challengers Cup, which was like 36 8-bound or something.
Wow, that's a lot of 8-pound.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah, they're like, oh,
That's maximum 8-pound.
you put knights down, 8-bound.
Not 8-pound. 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 8-pound.
Right?
Attacker
So
defender for which role? Insert name. Which one are we talking about? Talking about Chaos Knights because
I have no idea. Chaos
Chaos Knights could
Knights
be
are
either. They could be a first
either
drop
or.
against the list, or they could just be a bully as an attacker. They could be
Yeah, I
either
think
for
in a
sure.
fives they could be a first drop, and in eights they might want to be like a fourth
They
drop
can
or
be
going
they could
drop.
be a first drop because they get table pick, and there's usually only one red in an 8-man.
Thanks a lot, Jack. Catch you later. Thanks for hanging out in our
Yeah, for
live
sure.
YouTube chat while we recorded this. AdMech. Okay.
Oh, AdMech
I
are
think
more. It depends on the faction specialist because they'll usually have a play style that they prefer, but I think they're actually more of an all-comers into hordes. They can either be a bully as an attacker with a certain horde build or a defender to take all-comers. So
you can build them in a variety of ways,
you
right?
can.
So you can
They're
build like the
versatile.
Howler's Creed, you
That's
can
why the
build like the
specialist is
Hunter's
important for that.
Cohort. Correct. I think they're very good in the scrim where like they're natural predators you can kind of pull out and then they can just go push differential in like pairings that have like less chance against them. But that's like we can talk more about like strategy in like a different episode, right? But I think AdMech are just good they're a good flex pick, right? When
Yeah.
you just take them, you can kind of build them to what you need. And you just need to make sure that a faction specialist is playing them so
Yeah.
that you get the most out of what you're trying to do.
I think that's exactly why they belong in faction specialists because they're great,
Yeah.
but you need a faction specialist.
Yeah, I agree.
World Eaters. I think the best build right now for them in teams specifically is like the Berserker Warband.
Yeah.
And I do actually think they pair best with either Raven Guard or Emperor's Children.
Wait, really? Because they can do like a similar role, or
They could do a similar
know,
bully as their role because I think a lot of the time when you put down the World Eaters list, depending on what it is, like if it's the 80 Berserkers or however many billion Berserkers it is, you can put something next to them that is actually good into that list. So the World Eater list is more of a bully that they don't want to play it, even though their match would probably be better into them if that makes sense. It's almost like a little bit of
right?
a mind game, and they would actually be worse into the armies a lot of the time than like the coterie would be for the Emperor's Children or the Raven Guard would be, just because the profiles are similar, but the amount of bodies is scarier. And a lot of people get nervous about that. Not either they don't know how to screen well, they don't know how to I can't think of layer their units properly. It's a skill. So a lot of people don't know how to do it. They don't feel comfortable doing it. So they just I don't want that. I'm not going to fight that.
Right.
But I wouldn't put that. I wouldn't put
enough.
that as an auto include.
I wouldn't put it as an auto include either.
No, but so right now we're still at Space Marines, Chaos Knights, and World Eaters. World Eaters was mine. So it's your turn.
I think World Eaters are great. I think okay, so faction specialists can be so much. I think there is something to be said about how good the game is right now, where you could pretty much play almost anything.
Oh yeah, you could bring 8 faction specialists and be great. Absolutely.
Right.
We're talking about the ones that if
like you just like had a hodgepodge of friends and whatever, then like let's try to get the.
There's always going to be at least 2 spots of faction specialists right now, at least because the game is that spot. There's probably going to be.
It is at that spot.
Real, but.
So trying to figure out, I think honestly for teams, I would love a Sisters of Battle army.
I am close to agreeing with you because they are actually a very good teams army. I'm just not sure if they're one of the auto includes.
Okay, fair enough. So let's put them off to the shelf and aside. I'll make an argument for them later.
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay. Eldar then.
Yes, Eldar are more like because normally Eldar are something that you want a faction specialist, and you still want a faction specialist, but Eldar are good enough that I feel like they should just be.
I think Eldar are just good enough right now. There's Eldar; they're going to be everywhere. They're just very good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put Eldar in there for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Done. What's another auto include? Are there any other auto includes?
So we've done 4 so far.
Yeah, we only have 4 right now, which
That's 4. 4 out of like look. Some of the other auto includes we've included in the past are Necrons, Death Guard, right?
yeah, is Death Guard still one of the auto includes right now?
I think Death Guard in teams can very much be an auto include.
It definitely
And
can be.
it's like
Is it part of our stud squad though?
I think Astrum of the Tarm would be more up there.
I think Guard is always more up there than they would be for sure. Yeah.
So I think we could definitely go with Astrum of the Tarm. I think that if you build a team right now, yes, you definitely want Astrum of the Tarm in there.
Yeah, I think so. They're
Right?
so good.
They're just solid. They're solid. They play the game well.
Solid.
They have lots of different builds that you can play, and I guess based on your faction specialist, then you could kind of decide what sort of build you wanted to do, right? Because you could have somebody who's like maybe a little newer play something along the lines of combined arms, but then have a more experienced player do the recon guard build or mechanized or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Okay, so that's 5, and we're gonna have 2 faction specialists minimum, I think. But let's talk about this last spot because I think this is the important one. So for this last spot, we'll put sisters in here as one of the arguments because you brought it up and you want to fight for them. So I respect that.
But sisters or empress children, like I would say one of the other.
Sisters,
I do agree with your.
I want to throw a third one in there though.
Okay.
I still think Votan should be in there.
Oh shoot! I forgot about Votan. Yes, I think Votan wins over those 2.
Okay, there we
for
go.
sure.
Votan.
Yeah, 100%.
So is one of the other ones good enough to take away another one of our faction specialist slots?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay, good.
Like if you were to take like Sisters of Battle, you'd be like, okay, someone who only plays sisters. If you were to take like Empress Children, you're like, I want John Lennon because he plays Empress Children, right?
Yeah.
Like you bring someone who knows what they're doing with the faction. Because what do we have? If you want to play Drukari, you put me on the team, right? You want to do Genes to the Cult or Tyranids. You need someone like you can make it work. You just need someone that has experience with what you're trying to do, and then you can make that list do what you need it to do for the sort of team composition.
Yep,
right.
That makes sense. I think that rounds up the 8-man. So our 8-man right now is Space Marines, Chaos Knights, World Eaters, Eldari, Astra Militarum, Votan, and then our 2 faction specialists. I think that's solid. So
I think that's pretty solid.
So what would we change for a 5-man? I think Space
So
Marines.
for a 5-man,
Space Marines still goes in for sure. Yep.
Absolutely. I think when you're doing a 5-man teams, like there's a couple of different 5-man teams, or you might know of some 5-strong, like 5-person teams.
Yeah, it really
it
ends up being
meta.
a lot of faction specialists in a 5-man team a lot of the time, but
yeah, you want to have. It behooves you to have more generalists,
yes,
right? Because there's not as many pairings to do.
Yeah.
Right.
There's like one important pairing, and it's
who's defending and who do you reject and who do you take, right? And that sort of dictates the rest of it quite straightforwardly.
Yeah.
So I think Space Marines are good for that.
I still think Chaos Knights are important in this one.
I think Chaos Knights are still very good. Like we haven't even talked about like demons and stuff, but like demons can be another one of those faction specialist style lists.
Oh yeah, they're a faction specialist for sure.
Especially in teams, you can skew and do. I'm going to do
legitimately any
Legion or something.
Any faction that we didn't mention is easily a faction specialist inclusion. Like if you have a faction specialist of it, put them in. Easy. The game is at that
orcs.
point.
We even talked about orcs. Like orcs are like with the new changes to Ghazghkull and stuff.
They still need a faction specialist.
Like they need a faction specialist, but they are not bad.
Oh no,
like
they're absolutely.
They still have
They all
if Innis has done anything, it's shown us that you can like crush people with Grey Knights.
You could do
right
anything.
As long as you have a Storm Raven.
You see the Storm Raven. Yeah, that's important.
Yep. See, aircraft. Just need more aircraft.
Yeah, we need more aircraft. Don't put that evil on us. Don't put that evil on us.
Fair enough.
All right. Would we have?
So we've got Space Marines.
Space Marines and Chaos Knights.
Chaos Knights. I think those are good. So for the last 3, I would generalize and go. Wow, we haven't even talked about Chaos Space Marines and stuff. I think instead of Chaos Knights, I'd say Chaos Mix.
Chaos Mix.
Yeah. So like, Chaos Mix could be a combination of Chaos Space Marines allied with Chaos Knights or Chaos Demons or like any of the versions. I think, but other than World Eaters, I think World Eaters stands on its own.
Hmm.
You still want to take World Eaters
In the 5-man too.
in a fives.
Yeah.
I think World Eaters make for a good like hammer.
Yep, for sure. So Space Marines, a Chaos Mix, and World Eaters. Are we actually going to narrow that anymore, or do we still keep 2 faction specialists in the 5-man?
I think you could make all 5 faction
You
specialists in a five
could,
man.
but we
But I
actually we
don't want
definitely
to.
need a couple.
I feel like that's a cop out, though. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I feel like that's just a cop out. Like we're making it too easy on ourselves. Like if we had to pick 5, what would we pick?
Well, Votan needs to go in there then.
Votan. I agree. I think Votan is just a solid point scorer,
Hmm.
right? And then I think the end can be faction specialist. Like in my case, I'd be like, I'm going to take Dark Eldar, right? In your case, you'd be like, I'm going to take Tyranids.
No, I'm
Or
going to
whatever you
take
mean.
GSC. What
Like,
the hell?
yeah, they're just
What?
Tyranid
What?
adjacent. They're Tyranid meal,
Tyranid
Tyranid
adjacent?
food.
Tyranid adjacent? What? What?
Hey, whatever. I don't know
They're
genes of
nowhere
adult
near the
culture
Tyranids until they're not.
until they are
Until they're
the
in them.
Tyranid.
Until they're Tyranids. Yeah.
And they're their food.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, fair. So I think with that, yeah. So World
So
Eater is
one
like a
faction
chaos
specialist.
list and a faction
Yeah.
specialist, which
Okay.
then you could be Orcs or Abmech or Genes of the Cult or Dark Eldar. Like I think there's like that last one could be any 10,
Yeah, for
right?
sure. All right. There we go. So the 5-man is Space Marines, a Chaos Mix, World Eaters, Votan, and Faction Specialists. So similar, obviously, not too many big changes. The Chaos Knights got a little mixed around, so they have a little more versatility, which you kind of want in those smaller teams.
Yeah.
You still have the World Eaters as a hammer that will likely match together either with the Space Marines or the Faction Specialists for the pairings, because you want
Yeah.
to have a bully pairing there, and then Votan because they can do whatever you need them to do. Just they'll get points. They'll get
Yeah.
points, or they can go full berserk and go next to the World Eaters. They can do that too, right? That's also a thing.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it makes sense to me. I think that all works out really well.
So there we go.
Um,
Normally we would actually do. I read out some of the facts, but since we're live and we have a question, I can go into that because you're here.
I like it.
So, how do you guys rationalize a list volatility in teams? How do you know how much consistency or blowout potential is enough? That is a good question. So, rationalizing those volatility is you need to have a good balance, and one of it depends on how big the team is. Like an 8-man team, you obviously can have a few more volatile lists, and it really depends on how many matchups you can control. In any 8-man, there is at least 2 matchups that you can control. If you have 4 lists to deal with it,
Yeah.
that number significantly drops the smaller you get. Like in a 5-man team, it is actually possible to not have control over any of them. Like you obviously, chances are you're going to be able to control at least one, probably more. But
Yeah.
it's possible if you're against somebody you have equal pairing skill. And I'm going to say this too: not once has any 2 teams paired and their matrix matched each other. Not
No.
that has
No.
never happened in the history of 40K.
Usually you have one team is very confident.
One team is very
that their
confident.
matrix is right.
Yeah.
And that doesn't always pan out.
Yeah. So that's something that you need to keep in mind too, because that's just what happens in teams, and it happens. But in terms of how many, like rationalize this volatility and how many, it's usually I would never ever ever go any more than 2 volatile teams in anything below an 8-man, and even then 2 is a lot in 5-mans.
Yeah.
But if you're really good at pairing, it can really pay off. But you have to be good at pairing. And actually, that's another factor that you want to put into it. If your pairing person is like a master pairer, or whatever you want to call it, if they are a master puzzle solver at pairing, then take the maximum amount of volatility. It's usually, I think, a third is your cap. A third rounding up is the cap, but so that means like an 8-man, that's 3. Anything below that is generally 2, maybe 3. But again, the more you have, the lower team, it's you got to be really good at pairing because the volatility will bite you in the ass if you don't pair right, and that's the problem with it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yep. I think you have to be like, I think if you do your homework, you can lower it.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you try and make sure that you're not like, just don't take anything for granted, right? And when you're trying, and it's hard to like the volatility of a list, like it depends on how. I think it just comes down to like the experience.
It does. It
Like,
also there's a
how
big
do you
thing of are they building it as a if I go first I just get 20 style?
right? So like there's that sort of volatility because you can rationalize volatility in a couple of ways. One is, okay, how experienced is the person that is playing this volatile, quote, volatile list? Because
Yeah.
it could be volatile generally, but in the hands of an experienced player, it could balance out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Another option is you might be leveraging its volatility against your opponent because your opponent cannot predict what's going to happen because it's so volatile,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
So they don't and that was one of the, I think Poland did this when they won in like WTC, like at the start of 10th, when they had the artillery guard
Yep.
list. And it was it was all artillery. It was just all artillery and a couple of things. And they were like, look, if I go first, I just win.
Mm-hmm.
Like all my artillery hits on 2s, rolling 1s, and you're just dead. Right? And it was just volatile because if it didn't go first, it had a harder time.
Yep.
But if it went first, it was like, and you're dead, you know? And so teams couldn't really like pair into it being like, oh, I should be fine, because you
Yeah.
always pair into it going, well, if I don't go first, I am screwed.
Yeah.
Right? So sometimes there can be power in that because people are like, oh, we need to keep this list for something else, or we need to keep this list as a standard. Like this list normally gets us a 10 if we built it around this, or got us so many points. However, in this matchup, like I should get a 10, but
Mm-hmm.
because that list is so volatile, like if I don't go first, it could actually be really bad, right? And so that could be a strategy you could involve, but you just have to have the foundation, like a strong foundation with the rest of the stuff around it, and you have to have a plan for it. You can't just like make a list, be like, oh, it'll be fun for the lols,
Mm-hmm.
right? And expect it to do well without having a dedicated idea of what you're trying to do with it.
Yeah, and in terms of the consistency of like how much consistency your blow potential is enough. Now, that's one of the reasons that I'm a big fan of faction specialists, because not just because of the faction itself, but because the player, if they're a faction specialist, they know their army well enough that they're able to control the narrative of the game a lot better. Because in teams, ideally, most of your players, aside from the if you take any like volatile aggressive lists, most of the players should be playing a singles game. What I
Yeah.
mean by that is they should be playing to get like just a slight win.
Just win.
Just
Yeah.
win.
Just try win.
Don't go do anything crazy. Don't do anything like that. But the faction specialists, the reason I like them in these kind of roles, like Scary, myself, and people that play a faction so much they know the ins and outs of it, is they're also the people that when something starts to go wrong on your team, they're the ones you can go to if you go early enough and say, hey, we're down. We need you to push. And they're the ones that know how to do that. And that's an important skill in teams that a lot of people are just not really sure how to do correctly. Like a lot of, I'm going to say most players that are playing in teams are trying to get as many points as they can all the time.
Yeah.
There's a and then we get to the competitive side of things. When we get to like WTC level, a lot of players there are playing a singles game, but they are ready to pounce if they need to. unless they're in one of those lists that's like, I'm pushing. This is what I do.
Or unless their team was like, hey, we paired a loss,
Yes.
right?
Just
So
stay back, get as
gamble,
many as you can, gamble, whatever you
No,
do.
no, or just go on the line and hope you go first,
Yeah.
because if not, we're going to lose the round anyway.
Yeah.
Right, and just go for it. Right.
Yeah. And that's those are one-offs that'll happen sometimes too, right? But that's a whole other story. But I think generally speaking, that's a really important thing to keep in mind. You want consistency, but you also need that ability to push in places, which, in my opinion, faction specialists are the best ones to be able to do that. And there are some armies that can generally do that too. But I find that people that are not a faction specialist playing like a good army are just trying to get as many points as they can in every single game they play. So you can't go to them and say, hey, I need you to get more points. Like, well, I'm already getting as many as I can. So like, I can't do anymore. It is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great question. Thanks a lot for the question. Now, of course, if you enjoyed today's podcast, make sure you head on over to the Discord and you can discuss the episode with us there. We are going to be doing these as often as we can on YouTube, so make sure you head on over to YouTube at the Stud or Scrub YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, like the podcast episode, and we'll leave a comment. Let us know what you think down below. And, of course, if you find us on your podcast stream platforms, we actually fixed an issue where it was only showing the past 10 episodes. You actually go back and see the entire catalog of episodes that we have now. Because
did it actually fix it? Did it actually? Like, I
think so.
I did the thing that should fix it. I just haven't checked to see if it was actually fixed.
Okay. So hopefully it fixed, and now you can go all the way back. But leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts, and let us know what you think. Share it with your friends. Tell folks about us, because after all, we're only studs if you listen to us.
It's true.
Nailed it.
You can't coach technology.
Can't coach assholes.